The Guardian caps that we saw during the games. The Colts, I believe, had the most. 5 players wore the Guardian caps, including Jonathan Taylor, starting running back, one of our highest paid guys. That's a big deal. We talked to Dr. Alan Sills last week. He said the players are allowed to do that if they want. We've sent the knit tops to cover up the pillows so it looks as if it is the helmet and the entirety of it. Other teams did it as well. I think Pittsburgh Steelers had a guard that was wearing one. Is this just going to become the new norm, or how many more players do you think we see this from, and what is kind of expectation you think around the league, Schefter, what you're hearing?
You know where I think this is going, Pat? I think we used to see hockey back in the day where players never wore helmets. We used to have people driving cars that never wore seatbelts. And I don't think that this is going to happen overnight, but I think eventually we're going to look back and we're going to see some of the great players in this sport have played this game with little helmets that didn't protect their brains. And you're going to see more and more people gravitating towards this because it's a safer way to play. And I know it takes a little time to get used to seeing the players like that, but already, as you said, 5 Colts were wearing them. We saw sprinkles of other players wearing them throughout the course of the weekend. And to me, it's only a matter of time before this becomes more and more regular, more and more accepted, and players recognize that it's just safer for them to be out there like that. Let me ask you this question, Pat.
Yeah.
Would you ever, if you were still playing, if you were still punting, I know it's not the exact same thing, but you played in a violent way. If you still were punting, would you consider wearing a helmet like that?
So I was talking about this actually earlier today because I appreciate the fact that the Colts are seemingly the smartest team in the entire NFL. Now, there's a lot of old school football players that are going to say, these guys are putting pillows on their heads in games. Okay, that's old school football players, but old school football players think that about everything. They're yelling at clouds for everything. I very much led with my head every time I tackled somebody. 20-something. Head, just leaning, literally torpedoing. Now, if I get called, it's a kicker getting called for personal foul, leading with the helmet. Pretty sick, actually. So, there was would I do it if I knew all the ins and outs, or if I had any head trauma, or how they, probably, especially if it was an option. I think what's going to take place, though, is now we're in a race for these helmet manufacturers to just make bigger, so you don't have to put it on top of the helmet. Who can make that helmet just already to begin with? And I think that's what Dr. Alan Sills was kind of alluding to, about how there was 5 helmets that were made in the last year or something that are more safe than any helmet that there's ever been on the market. I forget the exact words, but the helmets are just going to get bigger, I think, where the Guardian cap on top is just going to become a part of the helmet.
Absolutely. It's obviously tough to look at now, and it's different. I remember when the Revolution helmets first came out, Larry Fitzgerald, I believe, was the first big time player to wear it. And it's that looks weird. I will never wear that shit. But at this point, being out of the game and knowing, the after effects and concussions and all those different things, if it is the best option, like you said, helmet manufacturers would obviously make them where they just fit in. This will be ultimately the evolution of the helmets. I think when 18 game seasons come about, Guardian caps are it'd be right behind it.
Yeah, and if you get guys like Jonathan Taylor doing it, obviously other people on the team will feel much more comfortable following suit, So I think that's a whole conversation in and of itself. Our offense is going to have to figure it the fuck out on the Colts, but the Guardian caps, if it keeps them safe, all good. We got Guardian caps in games. Colts have the most. We're the smartest team in the NFL.
Hey, maybe Trent Williams puts one on. And then all of a sudden it's cool.
I don't. Trent Williams might have came from the generation, before this particular one.
Really?
I would think, because there's some people who try to utilize their helmet as a weapon. And I know in modern football it's not as much, but we'll be joined by a stooge from Ohio in the next hour who literally the heavier the helmet, the better. Why? Because there's more protective? No, because I could utilize it as a weapon. There's always going to be those people in football, however the tactic's going to be. But if you can save a little bit and it doesn't affect your speed, I could see why guys would want to sign up for it. Jonathan Taylor, he had a brain. He got accepted to Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay, so a businessman. Obviously, we've seen what happened. So I think those super genius people are a little bit more apt to be I would like to keep every brain cell.
Sure.
And then as more stats and analytics roll out, it's hey, just one shot to the head for offensive lineman here from a defensive lineman, you don't know. You might hit the right spot. We don't know. And then boom, all of a sudden you can't do this anymore. And then it's those types of things being presented. Even though I would assume large majority of some of these contacts don't do that, there is a chance that it has happened and will happen. So if you put that thing on there, the look is tough. It looks like a pillow.
No doubt.
Looks like you got a pillow on your head.
It's tough.
Football pillow. But that's why I think the helmets will end up just becoming what they become.
Yeah.
That's going to be what
it's larger.
They're going to become space.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks are going to have one that goes
Massive.
all the way back here.
That'll be so cool.
Jonathan Taylor's, I think, is going to be real, but there's going to come a time where the hole's going to get small, and then that thing is going to act as a
Like a baby.
yeah, it is. It's going to be like giving birth.
Giving birth.
Boom.
We were
Coming right.
talking about this with Tua. When he got banged up, had a couple concussions, like, oh, maybe he gets the helmet. They kind of just, when he hits the ground, it kind of
Like an airbag.
It's weird to look at, but like you said, all the medical and everything behind it, you get it with all the violent contacts. And I still remember when those Revolution helmets first came about, I'm like, there's no way these will catch. There's no way players will actually start to wear these. And then every year, more and more. Our university actually damn near made it mandatory that we switch into those helmets. So this is just the evolution of the player safety.
Especially, if they're able to make these helmets gigantic, lighter, and safer. I mean, guys will be like, all right, so it's lighter, it's more comfortable, and I'm safer. I don't care what I look like. Do you see the clothes we wear to these games?
True.
We look like assholes all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, not
that is kind of that's like the new fashion.
Well, we had some interesting fashion, too.
Yeah, that was not looking like an asshole. Latu looked sick.
He did look sweet, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything's fashion. I would assume, like, these big-ass helmets will become, like, cool. Because there was, like, the TV stretchy thing, that happened?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And there was a photo of Jonathan Taylor that got out there. Mm-hmm. People were saying, how big that helmet looked, and he do the TV thing. I mean, it did look gigantic, but you could see how Jonathan Taylor would be like, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And he could keep it moving. Our offense the Colts offense needs to.
You got to pick it up.
I know it's just preseason, and hey, we're working on stuff. Everybody else seemed to look good.